Did you know that some of the most productive crops you can grow won't even sprout in warm weather? That's right. While most people think gardening ends in November, the smartest gardeners know this is when the magic happens. There are 15 crops that thrive in cold soil, taste better after frost, and will feed you all winter long. But here's the problem. You have less than 3 weeks to get them in the ground, or you'll miss the window completely. Crop number 7 must be planted in November or it won't grow at all next year. And crop number 3 actually grows faster in freezing temperatures than it does in spring. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to plant, how to plant it, and why November is the secret weapon most gardeners overlook. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a planting deadline again. Next week, I'm showing you how to protect these crops through the harshest winter, and you won't want to miss it. All right, let's get straight into it. I'm covering 15 crops today, and we're starting with the speed demons. These are the crops that'll give you fresh food in 30 to 45 days, even in cold weather. Perfect for zones 5 through 9 across the United States, southern Canada, and the entire UK. If you're in zone 4 or colder, just add a row cover or cold frame, and you're golden. Now here's what you need to watch for. Each crop I'm about to share solves a specific winter problem. No sunlight? Check. Freezing temps? Check. Short growing season? Handled. But one of these crops, and I'll tell you which one in a few minutes, stores in the ground for up to 5 months. You can harvest it fresh all winter without a single bit of storage space. Let's start with number 15. Crop 15, spinach. Spinach is hands down one of the easiest crops to grow in November, and here's why most people get it wrong. They plant it in summer. Big mistake. Summer spinach bolts to seed in 3 weeks and tastes bitter and tough. But November spinach? It's a completely different plant. Cold weather below 50 degrees Fahrenheit does something magical. It slows bolting and makes the leaves sweeter and more tender than anything you'll find at the store. This happens because spinach shifts its energy from flowering to leaf growth when temperatures drop. You end up with a harvest window that lasts 3 to 4 months instead of 3 weeks. Here's how to plant it. Sow seeds directly into your garden bed, ½ inch deep, spaced 2 inches apart. Keep rows about 12 inches apart so you have room to harvest without stepping on plants. Spinach germinates in 7 to 12 days, even in cold soil. In fact, spinach seeds prefer cool soil over warm. Now here's the game changer. Don't plant all your spinach on the same day. Plant a new row every 2 weeks throughout November. This staggers your harvest so you're not drowning in 50 spinach plants all at once. In the United States, November spinach thrives from the Pacific Northwest down through Northern California, across the Midwest in states like Illinois and Iowa, and all up and down the East Coast, from Virginia to New Hampshire. In Canada, Southern Ontario and British Columbia are perfect zones. In the UK, spinach grows everywhere this time of year. Quick question, do you like baby spinach or fully mature leaves? Drop your answer in the comments. Crop 14. Lettuce. Let's talk about lettuce, because this is where most gardeners give up too soon. Summer lettuce is a nightmare. It turns bitter, bolts in 2 weeks, and becomes completely inedible. The reason? Heat. Lettuce hates anything above 70 degrees, but plant it in November and everything changes. Cool weather keeps lettuce crisp, sweet, and productive for months. No bitterness, no bolting, just perfect salad greens whenever you want them. November temperatures slow the plant's growth cycle, which actually works in your favor. Slower growth means tender leaves and extended harvest time. Here's how to get it in the ground. Scatter seeds lightly across your bed or plant them in shallow rows. Barely cover them because lettuce seeds need light to germinate. Once seedlings pop up in about 7 to 10 days, thin them to 6 to 8 inches apart. You'll start harvesting in 30 to 45 days, but here's the secret. Use the cut and come again method. Snip outer leaves and leave the center growing. The plant keeps producing for weeks. Now here's a pro move that'll change your salads forever. Don't just plant one type of lettuce. Mix 3 or 4 varieties in the same bed. Butterhead, romaine, oak leaf, and arugula all together. You'll have gourmet salad mixes straight from your garden that cost $10 a bag at the store. In North America, lettuce loves November planting in zones 5 through 9, covering nearly the entire country except the far northern states. In Canada, zones 6 and 7 in southern regions are ideal. The UK is perfect radish territory in November. Quick poll: do you eat radishes raw, pickled, or roasted? Drop your favorite way in the comments. Crop number 12. Kale. Now let's talk about the toughest plant in your garden, kale. This crop is practically indestructible. It survives frost, snow, ice, and freezing temperatures that would kill most vegetables. But here's the part that blows people's minds. Frost doesn't just not hurt kale, it makes it taste better. I'm serious. When temperatures drop below freezing, kale starches convert into sugars. The result? Sweeter, more tender leaves after every frost. This is why winter kale tastes nothing like summer kale. Summer kale can be tough and bitter. Winter kale is sweet and almost buttery. It's a completely different eating experience. To plant kale in November, start with transplants if you can find them. They establish faster than seeds. If you're planting from seed, sow them 1/4 inch deep, 3 inches apart, then thin to 12 to 18 inches once they sprout. First harvest comes in 55 to 75 days, but you can start picking baby leaves much earlier. Here's the harvesting secret. Always pick from the bottom leaves up. This keeps the plant growing vertically and producing for months. I've had single kale plants produce for 6 months straight using this method. Picture this. It's January. There's snow on the ground. You walk outside and harvest fresh kale for a morning smoothie. That's the power of November planting. Kale works across zones 4 through 9 in the United States, covering nearly the entire country. In Canada, zones 5 through 7 are excellent. The UK is ideal kale country from November through spring. What's your favorite way to eat kale? Smoothies, salads, or cooked? Let me know in the comments. Crop number 11. Arugula. Arugula is one of those crops that most people completely misunderstand. They plant it in summer and within 3 weeks, it's bolted to flower and tastes so spicy it burns your mouth. Sound familiar? That's because arugula is a cold weather champion that absolutely hates heat. Warm temperatures make it unbearably peppery and send it straight to seed. But plant arugula in November and everything changes. You get leaves that are peppery but mild, tender, and slow to bolt. The flavor is balanced and delicious instead of overpowering. This happens because cool weather slows the plant's natural defense mechanism. Heat stress makes arugula produce more of the compounds that create that sharp, burning taste. Cold weather keeps those compounds in check. Here's how to plant it. Broadcast seeds across a bed or plant them in shallow rows. Barely cover the seeds with soil. They're tiny and need light contact with soil to germinate. Thin seedlings to 4 to 6 inches apart once they sprout. You'll be harvesting in 30 to 40 days. Now here's the method that turns one planting into 3 or 4 harvests. Cut and come again. When leaves reach 3 to 4 inches tall, snip them about 1 inch above the soil line. The plant regrows. You can harvest the same arugula plant 2 to 3 more times before it's done. In the United States, arugula thrives in November across zones 6 through 10. That includes the entire southern half of the country, the West Coast, and mild areas in the Midwest. In Canada, southern British Columbia and Ontario work well with some frost protection. The UK is perfect arugula territory in November. Now, here's my question for you. What's your favorite way to eat arugula? Salads, pizza, or pasta? Drop your answer below because I'm curious how people actually eat this stuff. Crop 10. Turnips. Let's talk about turnips because this is the most underrated crop on the entire list. Here's why. Turnips give you 2 crops in one. You get edible greens and edible roots from the same plant. Most gardeners only harvest the roots and throw away the greens. That's a huge mistake. Turnip greens are packed with nutrients and taste incredible when cooked. But here's the real secret about November turnips. Cold weather makes the roots sweet and tender instead of bitter and woody. Summer turnips can taste harsh and unpleasant. November turnips? They're mild, almost sweet and buttery when cooked. This transformation happens because cool soil slows the development of bitter compounds in the root. The result is a completely different vegetable. Here's how to plant them. Direct sow seeds ½ inch deep, spaced 2 to 3 inches apart. Once they sprout, thin to 4 to 6 inches apart to give the roots room to develop. Greens are ready to harvest in about 30 days. Roots are ready in 50 to 60 days. Now here's the bonus hack that most gardeners never learn. Harvest greens early and often. When you trim back the greens, the plant sends more energy into root growth. You get bigger, better turnips. And here's the storage secret. Turnips store for 4 to 5 months in a cool, dark place. Plant them now in November, and you'll be eating fresh turnips all the way through March. No fancy equipment needed, just a cool basement or garage. In the United States, turnips work beautifully in zones 5 through 9 during November. That covers most of the country from the Midwest to the coasts. In Canada, Southern Ontario, and British Columbia are perfect with row covers. The UK is excellent for November turnip planting. What's your favorite way to cook turnips? Roots or greens? Or both? Comment your answer. Crop 9. Bok Choy. Now we're getting into the crops that surprise people, and bok choy is at the top of that list. Most gardeners think bok choy is some exotic, difficult vegetable. It's not. It's actually one of the easiest cold weather crops you can grow, but only if you plant it at the right time. Plant bok choy in summer and it bolts to flower in about 2 weeks. Total waste of time. But plant it in November, it grows slowly, stays compact, and produces thick, juicy stems that crunch like celery and taste sweet and mild. Here's the science. Bok choy is a brassica, which means it's built for cold weather. Temperatures below 60 degrees signal the plant to focus on leaf and stem production instead of flowering. You end up with a plant that keeps producing for months. To plant bok choy, you can start from transplants or direct sow seeds. If using seeds, plant them 1/4 inch deep and space seedlings 6 to 10 inches apart depending on the variety. Baby bok choy is ready in about 30 days. Full-size bok choy takes 45 to 60 days. Here's the harvesting trick. You can either harvest outer leaves first to extend your harvest or pull the whole plant at once. Both methods work. Now here's the secret weapon. Bok choy handles light frost beautifully. A little cold stress actually makes it crunchier and sweeter. Don't baby it. Let it experience some cold nights. It'll reward you with better flavor. In the United States, bok choy loves November planting in zones 6 through 9. That includes most of the South, the West Coast, and temperate areas in the Midwest. In Canada, Southern Ontario and British Columbia are perfect with row covers. The UK is ideal for November bok choy planting. What's your favorite way to cook bok choy? Stir-fry, soup, or grilled? Let me know in the comments. Crop 8. Cilantro. Cilantro is the crop that frustrates more gardeners than almost any other, and it's all about timing. If you've ever planted cilantro in spring or summer, you know what happens. It grows for maybe 3 weeks, then bolts straight to seed, and you're left with nothing. This happens because cilantro is extremely sensitive to heat and long daylight hours. Anything above 75 degrees and it's done. But November? This is when cilantro becomes the superstar herb it's supposed to be. Plant it now and it stays in the leaf stage for 2 to 3 months. No bolting, no flowering, just continuous, fresh, flavorful cilantro leaves whenever you need them. The reason is simple. Short November days and cool temperatures keep the plant in vegetative growth mode. It thinks it has all the time in the world, so it just keeps producing leaves. Here's how to plant it. Direct sow seeds 1/4 inch deep, spaced about 2 inches apart. Once seedlings emerge, thin them to 6 inches apart. Harvest begins in 3 to 4 weeks. You can start snipping leaves as soon as the plant reaches 4 inches tall. Here's the germination hack nobody tells you. Crush cilantro seeds lightly before planting. Each seed is actually 2 seeds stuck together. Crushing them speeds up germination by several days. And here's bonus tip number 2. Succession plant cilantro every 3 weeks through November and December. This gives you continuous fresh cilantro all winter and into spring. In the United States, cilantro works perfectly in November across zones 7 through 10. That covers the southern states, California, and the Gulf Coast. In Canada, use containers or cold frames in zones 6 and 7. The UK is great for November cilantro planting. Now, let's settle this once and for all. Are you team cilantro or team tastes like soap? Comment right now because this is the most divided question in gardening. Crop 7, garlic. All right, now we're at crop number 7, and this is the one I mentioned at the beginning, the one that absolutely must go in the ground in November or you've missed your chance for an entire year. I'm talking about garlic. Here's what most people don't understand. Garlic isn't like other crops. You can't just plant it whenever you feel like it. It requires a cold period to form bulbs properly. This process is called vernalization. Without 6 to 8 weeks of temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, garlic won't split into cloves. It'll just grow as one solid bulb. Useless. November is the absolute sweet spot for planting garlic. It's late enough that cloves won't sprout prematurely in warm fall weather, but early enough for roots to establish before the ground freezes solid. Those roots spend all winter growing deeper, and come spring, your garlic explodes with growth. Here's how to plant it. Start with garlic bulbs from a garden center or online supplier. Don't use grocery store garlic because it's often treated to prevent sprouting. Break the bulb apart into individual cloves. Use the biggest, healthiest cloves you can find. Bigger cloves produce bigger bulbs. Plant each clove pointy end up, 2 inches deep, 6 inches apart. Press soil firmly around them. Then mulch heavily with straw, leaves, or grass clippings. This protects the cloves from freeze and thaw cycles that can push them out of the ground. Now here's the bonus most people never hear about. In late spring, around May or June, your garlic will produce curly stems called garlic scapes. Cut them off. They're delicious. You can eat them raw, sautéed, or blended into pesto. And cutting them off makes your bulbs bigger because the plant redirects energy from the scape into bulb growth. Garlic takes 8 to 9 months to fully mature, but that wait is worth it. Picture this. Next July, you're pulling massive garlic bulbs out of the ground that you planted this week. That's 10 months of homegrown flavor from 10 minutes of work right now. In the United States, garlic grows in every single zone, from Zone 3 all the way to Zone 9. That's the entire country. In Canada, garlic thrives everywhere from British Columbia to the Maritimes. The UK is perfect garlic country. Plant it anywhere. Here's my question for you. When you cook, do you use 1 clove at a time or do you toss in half the bulb? I need to know. Comment below. Crop 6. Onions. Let's move to crop number 6, and this one works almost exactly like garlic. Onions. But here's the trick. You're not planting onion seeds in November. You're planting onion sets, or transplants. Onion sets are small bulbs about the size of a marble. Transplants are young onion plants. Both work beautifully for November planting. Here's why November onions are superior to spring onions. When you plant now, onions spend the entire winter establishing strong, deep root systems. They're not focused on top growth yet, just roots. Then, when spring arrives and temperatures warm up, those roots are already locked in deep. The plant explodes with green growth and starts forming bulbs weeks earlier than spring-planted onions. The result? Bigger bulbs, earlier harvest, and better storage quality. Here's how to plant them. If using onion sets, plant them 1 inch deep, spaced 4 to 6 inches apart. Don't plant them too deep or they'll struggle to form bulbs. If using transplants, make a shallow hole, set the roots in, and firm the soil around them gently. Water them in well. Now here's the secret that saves you from losing your onions to winter. Mulch heavily. Onions are susceptible to something called frost heaving. When the ground freezes and thaws repeatedly, it can push baby onions right out of the soil. Mulch prevents this by regulating soil temperature. Use straw, shredded leaves, or compost. Here's the bonus. You don't have to wait 6 months for full-sized onions. You can start harvesting green onions in as little as 30 days. Just pull a few whenever you need them for cooking, or wait for the full bulbs in 6 to 7 months. In the United States, onions work in November across zones 5 through 9. That's most of the country except the coldest northern areas. In Canada, zones 6 and 7 in the southern regions are ideal. The UK is perfect for November onion planting. Do you grow onions for green onions or full bulbs? Drop your answer in the comments. Crop 5. Carrots. Now we're getting into the heavy hitters, and crop number 5 is one of the toughest, sweetest, most rewarding vegetables you can grow in November. Carrots. Here's what blows people's minds about carrots. They can handle temperatures down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 12 degrees below freezing. Most vegetables are dead by then. Carrots, they're thriving. But here's the real magic. Cold weather doesn't just not hurt carrots, it makes them sweeter. When temperatures drop, carrots convert their starches into sugars as a natural antifreeze. The result is carrots that are incredibly sweet, almost like candy. Way better than anything you'll ever buy at a store. This is why winter carrots taste completely different from summer carrots. It's a whole different experience. Here's how to plant them. Carrots need loose, rock-free soil. If your soil is heavy clay, grow them in raised beds or containers. Direct sow seeds 1/4 inch deep. Sprinkle them thinly because carrot seeds are tiny. Once they germinate in 14 to 21 days, thin seedlings to 2 to 3 inches apart. This gives the roots room to develop without crowding. Here's the germination hack that saves you weeks of waiting. Mix carrot seeds with radish seeds before planting. Radishes sprout in 5 days, and mark your rows so you know where the carrots are. Plus, radishes will be harvested in 30 days right before the carrots need that space. Genius, right? Now here's the storage secret. Don't pull your carrots and put them in the fridge. Leave them in the ground all winter. Just mulch heavily with straw or leaves. The ground acts as a natural refrigerator. You can harvest carrots fresh whenever you want, and they'll stay sweeter and crisper than anything you could store indoors. In the United States, November carrots work in zones 6 through 9. That includes most of the South, the West Coast, and temperate Midwest areas. In Canada, zones 7 and 8 with mulch protection are ideal. The UK is perfect for November carrot planting. What's your favorite carrot variety? Nance, Danvers, or those fancy rainbow carrots? Let me know in the comments. Crop number 4 is broccoli. And if you've only ever grown broccoli in spring or summer, you haven't tasted real broccoli yet. Here's the deal. Broccoli is a cold-season brassica that produces bigger, tighter, sweeter heads in cool weather. Summer broccoli struggles with heat. The heads get loose and bitter, and the plant bolts quickly. November broccoli? It's a completely different plant. The heads are dense, sweet, and productive. This happens because cool temperatures slow the plant's growth cycle. Slower growth means more time to develop tight, compact heads instead of loose, flowering ones. November is the perfect time to get broccoli transplants in the ground. Notice I said transplants, not seeds. Broccoli from seed takes too long. You want transplants that are already 4 to 6 weeks old. This gives them time to establish before the coldest part of winter. Here's how to plant them. Space transplants 18 to 24 inches apart in rich, well-composted soil. Broccoli is a heavy feeder, so don't skimp on compost or fertilizer. Water them in well and mulch around the base of each plant. The mulch protects roots from freeze and thaw cycles. Now here's the secret that turns one broccoli plant into a month-long harvest. After you cut the main head, don't pull the plant, leave it in the ground. It'll produce side shoots for weeks. These side shoots are smaller than the main head, but they're just as delicious and they keep coming. I've had single broccoli plants produce for 6 weeks using this method. Imagine this. It's February, there's frost on the ground, you walk outside and cut fresh broccoli for dinner. Your neighbors will think you're a magician. In the United States, broccoli loves November planting in zones 7 through 10. That's the southern half of the country and the entire west coast. In Canada, Zone 8 with protection works well. The UK is ideal for November broccoli planting. How do you like your broccoli? Steamed, roasted, or raw? Drop your favorite method in the comments.
Crop 3. Peas.
All right, we've reached the top 3, and this is the crop I've been teasing since the beginning. The one that actually grows faster in cold weather than warm weather. I'm talking about peas. Now, I know what you're thinking. Peas in November? That sounds crazy. But here's the science that changes everything. Peas germinate and grow faster in cool soil than in warm soil. Most people think warm soil equals fast growth. Not with peas. Warm spring soil causes weak, spindly, leggy growth. The plants stretch too fast and become fragile. But cool November soil, it creates strong, stocky, robust plants with deep roots. The seedlings establish slowly and evenly, which gives you healthier plants that produce more pods. Here's the other massive benefit. Peas are nitrogen fixers. That means they pull nitrogen from the air and store it in their roots through a relationship with special bacteria. While your peas are growing, they're actually improving your soil for the next crop you plant. Free fertilizer. Here's how to plant them. Direct sow seeds 1 to 2 inches deep, spaced 2 inches apart. If you're growing climbing varieties, provide a trellis or support structure right away. Peas germinate in 7 to 14 days. Even in cold soil. Harvest begins in 60 to 70 days. Now here's the hack that boosts your pea yields by 20 to 30%. Inoculate your pea seeds with rhizobium bacteria before planting. You can buy this powder at any garden center. Just coat the seeds before you sow them. It supercharges the nitrogen-fixing process and dramatically increases production. And here's harvesting tip number 2. Pick pods regularly. If you leave mature pods on the vine, the plant thinks its job is done and stops producing. Keep picking and the plant keeps flowering and producing new pods for weeks. In the United States, November peas work beautifully in zones 6 through 9. That's most of the country except the coldest northern regions. In Canada, zones 7 and 8 are ideal. The UK is perfect for November pea planting. Quick question. Are you team sugar snap peas, snow peas, or shelling peas? Drop your favorite in the comments. Crop 2. Fava beans. We're down to the final 2 crops, and number 2 is an absolute powerhouse that most American gardeners have never even heard of. Fava beans, also called broad beans. These are the most cold-tolerant beans on the entire planet. They laugh at frost. Snow doesn't bother them. Ice, no problem. Fava beans can survive temperatures down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit and keep growing. That's 17 degrees below freezing. Here's what makes November the perfect time to plant them. Fava beans planted now develop massive root systems all through winter. They're not focused on top growth yet, just roots going deeper and deeper. Then when spring arrives and temperatures warm up, those established roots fuel explosive growth. The plants shoot up to 3 to 4 feet tall and produce huge yields. We're talking up to 3 pounds of beans per plant. And fava beans are packed with protein, fiber, and nutrients. They're a superfood. Here's how to plant them. Direct sow seeds 2 inches deep, spaced 6 to 8 inches apart. They germinate in 7 to 10 days, even in cold soil. As they grow, provide support stakes because the plants get tall and heavy with pods. Now here's the bonus hack that prevents a massive problem. When your fava bean plants start flowering in spring, pinch off the growing tips at the top of each plant. This does 2 things. First, it prevents aphid infestations. Aphids love those tender growing tips, and removing them eliminates the problem before it starts. Second, those pinched off tips are edible. They taste like asparagus. Sauté them in butter and garlic. Incredible. Here's the final bonus. After you harvest all your beans, don't pull the plants out. Cut them at soil level and leave the roots in the ground. Those roots are packed with nitrogen from months of nitrogen fixation. As they decompose, they release all that nitrogen into your soil for the next crop you plant. Free fertilizer that makes your garden better. In the United States, fava beans work in zones 6 through 9 for November planting. In Canada, zones 7 and 8 are perfect. The UK is ideal fava bean territory. Have you ever grown fava beans, or is this your first time hearing about them? Let me know in the comments. Crop 1. Mustard greens. We've made it to number 1, and this crop beats every single other crop on this list for one simple reason. Speed, productivity, and bulletproof cold hardiness all in one plant. I'm talking about broadleaf mustard greens. Here's why this is number 1. Mustard greens are ready to harvest in 21 to 30 days. That's 3 to 4 weeks from seed to your dinner plate. One packet of seeds can produce enough greens to feed a family all winter long. And they survive hard freezes, snow, ice, and temperatures down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit. I have personally harvested mustard greens in 15-degree weather with snow on the ground. The plants didn't even flinch. But here's the flavor secret that makes November the best time to plant them. Frost makes mustard greens milder and sweeter. Summer mustard greens are spicy and can be almost too hot to eat raw. November mustard greens that experience frost, they're peppery but balanced, tender and delicious. The cold converts some of the sharp compounds into sugars, just like it does with carrots and kale. Here's how to plant them. Broadcast seeds across a bed or plant them in shallow rows, 1/4 inch deep. You can even just scatter them on top of the soil and rake them in lightly. Thin seedlings to 6 to 8 inches apart once they sprout. Begin harvesting baby leaves in 3 weeks or wait for full-size leaves in 4 to 6 weeks. Now here's the method that gives you 4 to 5 harvests from one planting. Cut and come again. When leaves reach 4 to 6 inches tall, cut them 1 inch above the soil line. Leave the roots and center of the plant intact. It regrows. You can harvest the same mustard green plant 4 or 5 times before it's exhausted. Here's bonus tip number 2. Mix mustard greens with milder greens like spinach or lettuce when you cook or make salads. This balances out the peppery kick and creates an incredible flavor combination. This is number 1 because it checks every single box. Fast, productive, cold hardy, nutritious, delicious, and almost impossible to fail. You could plant mustard greens this weekend and be eating fresh, homegrown greens by early December. That's the power of November gardening. In the United States, mustard greens thrive in zones 5 through 10. That's nearly the entire country. In Canada, zones 6 through 8 work beautifully. The UK is perfect mustard green territory. Have you ever grown mustard greens? If not, are you going to try them this November? Comment yes if you're in. You now have the complete blueprint for November planting. But before you go, here are 3 final bonus tips that'll make these crops even more successful. Bonus tip number 1, soil prep. Add 2 to 3 inches of compost to your beds before planting. Cold weather crops need nutrient-rich soil to thrive. Don't skip this step. it makes a huge difference. Bonus tip number 2, mulching. Mulch heavily with straw, shredded leaves, or grass clippings after planting. Mulch regulates soil temperature, prevents weeds, and protects roots from freeze and thaw damage. This one step can double your success rate. Bonus tip number 3, row covers and cold frames. If you're in zones 4 or colder, use floating row covers or low tunnels for extra protection. This extends your growing season by 4 to 6 weeks and can mean the difference between thriving crops and struggling ones. Now here's the reality. November is a short window. You have maybe 2 to 3 weeks left, depending on where you live. Don't wait. Get these seeds or transplants this week and get them in the ground. Your future self in January and February will thank you when you're harvesting fresh food while everyone else is paying premium prices at the grocery store. I want to hear from you. Which of these 15 crops are you planting first? Drop a comment and let me know. And if there's a crop I missed that you plant in November, share it with the community below. We all learn from each other. If this video helped you, smash that like button so YouTube shares this with more gardeners who need it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. I post new planting guides, harvest tips, and garden secrets every single week. Before you go, watch this video right here, where I show you exactly how to protect all these crops from frost and snow. It's the perfect follow-up to what you just learned. Thanks for watching, and happy planting.